When winter winds howled and snow blanketed the countryside, medieval families faced a simple, brutal truth. Wet firewood meant freezing nights. One soggy log could ruin a night's fire, leaving kitchens cold and homes shivering. Yet medieval farmers weren't helpless. They had a method, an almost secret trick that let them keep wood dry for months, even through relentless rain and snow. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't expensive, but it worked like clockwork, and today we're peeling back centuries of history to reveal exactly how. The secret wasn't in some rare material or magical formula. It was in the structure and design of the shed itself. Medieval farmers understood one key principle: airflow. Without ventilation, wood trapped moisture, grew mold, and became nearly impossible to burn efficiently. With just the right design, however, a stack of logs could dry slowly, evenly, and stay ready for winter months. The trick was simple, yet genius built the shed off the ground. Raising firewood off damp earth was non-negotiable. Logs in direct contact with soils soaked up moisture fast, making them heavy, sticky, and almost useless for a fire. Farmers constructed their sheds on stone foundations, wooden beams, or simple stumps. This lift allowed air to circulate underneath, carrying moisture away before it could ruin the wood. Even just a few inches made a monumental difference, transforming a pile of damp logs into fuel that could, actually last the season. But elevation alone wasn't enough. Medieval farmers paired it with careful stacking. They didn't just throw logs into a pile. Each piece was meticulously arranged, often in crisscross patterns or tight rows, leaving these tiny gaps for air to flow. Sunlight was a bonus. The medieval shed wasn't fully enclosed. It was really a careful balance of shelter and exposure. Roofs protected logs from rain, yet walls often had spaces or slats, letting wind slip through. Too much enclosure trapped humidity, too little and rain ruined everything. The medieval shed walked this line perfectly, striking a balance that honestly took a lot of experience to get right. Roofing materials also mattered. Farmers used what they had on hand: thatch, wooden shingles, or even clay tiles if they were lucky. But the key was slope. Roofs were steep, letting rainwater and snow slide off quickly, never lingering long enough to seep into wood. Overhanging eaves extended beyond the log stacks, creating a dry buffer zone. Even centuries ago, farmers instinctively understood drainage and gravity could work for them. Location played its own quiet but crucial role. Sheds were often positioned to catch the sun during the day while remaining sheltered from prevailing winds that carried moisture. A northern-facing wall could block harsh rain, while an open southern side encouraged sunlight and airflow. Every detail had a purpose. Medieval farmers weren't just stacking wood, they were manipulating microclimates, using natural forces to preserve fuel without modern conveniences. Timing was another subtle art. Wood was often cut during late winter or early spring when sap levels were lower, reducing the risk of mold. Logs were left to season for months before winter, sometimes stacked outside initially to shed initial moisture, then moved into the shed for long-term storage. Patience was key. Rushing this process meant smoky fires, frustrating nights, and wasted labor. These farmers understood the rhythm of nature, working with it instead of fighting it. Even insects and pests were considered. A raised shed combined with carefully stacked logs reduced infestations from beetles and rodents. Some sheds had small barriers or tighter stacks at the base, creating zones pests couldn't easily navigate. These measures weren't elaborate. They were practical, born from years of observation and, honestly, a fair bit of trial and error. Every design choice, no matter how small, served the goal of keeping wood dry and usable. Interestingly, this approach created benefits beyond just dry firewood. Properly ventilated sheds meant that when winter came, families could start fires quickly without dealing with damp smoke or hours of kindling preparation. Meals cooked more reliably, homes stayed warm longer, and labor was, well, a lot less stressful. The shed itself became an unsung hero of medieval life, quietly keeping families safe and fed through harsh winters. There's a lesson here that resonates even today. Modern firewood storage often ignores airflow or elevation, relying solely on plastic covers or sheds that trap humidity. By looking back at medieval methods, we can see that simple, thoughtful design often beats complexity. So, just a few beams, a raised platform and a roof with a steep slope. These were the ingredients for success, centuries before industrial solutions even existed. So next time you're stacking logs for winter, just remember you're not just following a practical routine. You're actually stepping into the wisdom of generations. Medieval farmers discovered that firewood storage was both an art and a science, a careful balance of sun, wind, and shelter. They didn't need any fancy tools, just insight, patience, and a bit of keen observation. And honestly, their results speak for themselves. If you found this dive into medieval ingenuity fascinating, make sure to subscribe for more hidden histories and practical hacks from the past. Share this video with friends who love history or sustainable living hacks. Because these ancient techniques might just save your winter nights too. Stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a toolkit for living smarter today.